Hello and welcome to the Stew with JT Brew and our special edition of NHL Around the Ice with JT and Toast. We are going to be recapping week one of the hockey season. Stick with us. You're in the stew.
You up on trades and why you move? You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points, makes the game a little more fun to watch. Can drop release. We started with the mock draft and now we making a mockery of the leaderboard. Quite obviously not a scrub, so start an institute. Make evaluations like a commissioner do. It's to the point your wife make you watch in a different room. Update your roster and pick and choose when you get some news. Not much that we enjoy more than sipping through, sifting through new statistics to make it to our end zones through different routes. Universities, institutes, down to homies who click in groups. I introduce you to the Stew with JT Brew.
Hello, I'm your host, Justin Taylor, along with Bryan Toast Clark. Week one NHL recap. Toast, thanks for joining me here. Toast takes, let's get into it early. Connor Bedard, the Phenom, Blackhawks debut. Huge on TV. So many people watched it. I know you were pumped. I was pumped. A ton of our friends, our Blackhawks fans, were ready to get going. But what do you think about the start from this young stud?
Well, JT, everything advertised. He may not have lit the lamp as many times we'd like him to in the first four games for the Blackhawks, but the truth is that the Hawks are 2-2. He's got over 20 shots on goal. I believe he's got over 30 attempts on goal. Let me just tell you, and a lot of big hockey fans know this already, and a lot of fantasy managers that really plugged into fantasy hockey know this. Rookies just don't do that, especially in their first week in the league. They usually take a back seat to the veterans. They usually kind of sit back and learn, find their way. But let's just say he already knows his way, and everybody else is following. So he's got a goal and 2 assists through 4 games. He is driving play. He has been really, really amazing. What I like about it too is he's really handled himself off the ice as well as you can. Tomorrow, when when the Hawks go into Colorado, that'll be the 3rd nationally televised game in their first 4. And you would think a lot of guys, young kids, just turned 18 would actually have a problem with that. He doesn't seem to have a problem with it at all. I mean, so those little things actually really tell you what kind of player he is and what kind of player he's going to be.
Yeah, just been an unbelievable start for him. And the fact that anyone is paying attention to the Blackhawks, they have just basically done a complete teardown. And the fact that they've actually played fairly solid hockey here in the early going. It's not like they're just getting absolutely overwhelmed. I've been really impressed by what I've seen from Bedard. He's been in the mix. He's got into it with some guys. He's getting shots on goal. And this Blackhawks team is kind of scrappy. I tell you what, I was not expecting some of this in the early going, but they have actually looked like they're going to give some teams some problems this year.
They've outworked teams in the first 4 games. Luke Richardson, their head coach, really preaches that. They're setting a culture there. A winning culture, kind of like what they had when they had the dynasty years between 2008 and 2016 or 17. They outworked other teams. They were kind of stacked through 1 through 4 lines. But really, what's been impressive about the Blackhawks, and again, do I think the Blackhawks will be a playoff this year? No, I don't think so. And do I want them to be? Yeah, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is here's been their schedule so far. They haven't played at home yet, mind you, either. All right. So they started out at Pittsburgh. Then they went to Boston. And they went to Montreal, which can be a circus of a show over in Montreal. Then they actually went to Toronto. So they actually go into Toronto, into Pittsburgh, and win those games. But then when they're at Colorado tomorrow, then they come back at home versus Vegas, versus Boston again. Then they actually go back on the road, Vegas, Arizona. What a start. What a start. This is the toughest part of their schedule. And they're 2-2. Honestly, at this point, they got 4 points on the as a team. I was thinking, they may have a point right now. They may end up pushing somebody to overtime. They've been in every game. And in 3 out of the 4 games, they've been the better team. So it's fun. A lot of people that may listen to this podcast may say, yeah, you're a homer. You actually want to talk to Blackhawks. Hey, what I'm talking about is Connor Bedard, and everybody else is too. So why not? That's what we're going to do. But so far, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, excited to see what he can continue to do throughout the season, his career. I mean, just a nice start for them, like you said, just a crazy tough schedule to start off, and they have not looked terrible. They haven't been overwhelmed. The Bedard's look solid. What are a couple other teams that kind of jumped out at you? I've been really happy with my Red Wings start. They have done much better than I thought they would. I was excited for them this year. I thought they'd be more in the mix. Maybe they push for a playoff spot, but they've looked solid the first week of the season. As their offense looks like it has a lot more firepower, and Alex DeBrincat has been. I've loved what seen out of him so far in a Red Wings uniform.
Yeah, so they're pretty balanced right now, and I really like kind of what I'm seeing from them as well. What I really like is the fact that Larkin, DeBrincat are actually off to scorching hot starts. And tonight, I believe they're actually up right now 3 or 4-1 right now early on, and does really actually put it to what are we playing? Pittsburgh. I'm just looking back to the TV. They're playing Pittsburgh right now. DeBrincat's actually got 5 shots on goal, got another goal. Larkin's got a couple or an assist at least. But their chemistry right now, man, they're playing well together. They're both on line one, power play one. And both these guys were steal picks, in my opinion, in the draft. So I kind of told you in our home draft, maybe you reached a little bit early for DeBrincat. Maybe not. And here's the reason why is because so far, he's a hometown guy, from Detroit. He looks very comfortable. There doesn't seem to be any learning curve with that team and actually getting him to feel, included, to feel comfortable. He's shooting a puck a ton. That's what you actually want him to do. Both these guys were drafted anywhere from 35 to 45 overall. And so far, they've actually played like top 20 players. Now, will they end up being top 20 players at the end of the season? Both of them? Probably not. But will one of them maybe? Absolutely. So through 3 games, DeBrincat's got 5 points. Larkin's got 3 points. But here's the thing I like about Larkin. He's setting the world on fire actually shooting a puck. He's got a whopping 18 shots on goal so far through 3 games. And tonight he's got a couple more.
Love it. Yeah, so, I love it. I love to see he's taking chances and going out there and trying to score. I love it.
We've been waiting for that for Larkin. And again, we know, hey, Larkin's a fast skater. Really, he is the leader of that team. But we've been kind of waiting for him to actually shoot, and really he's doing it. So I really like what I'm actually seeing out of Detroit. They've been a whole lot of fun. If my Hawks actually aren't on, I'm definitely watching Detroit for you, JT.
Who else do you like? And obviously Austin Matthews, the unbelievable start, the 2 back-to-back hat tricks to open up the year for the Maple Leafs. Talk about, him and the Maple Leafs and kind of a few other teams, whoever you like starting off this year.
Yeah, I like Matthews. I'm not sure I actually like Toronto. And I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but Toronto with Samsonov and goal, Wallin actually goal as well. Their goalies are kind of shaky. They really and also to boot, they're a little top heavy, kind of like Edmonton as well. You got the likes of Matthews and Nylander and Tavares, and then so you're pretty top heavy. But what I will say about Austin Matthews is 6 goals through the first 2 games, back-to-back hat tricks actually lead off the season. I mean. Geez, I mean, this guy, so last year he was a little bit down. When I say a little bit down, I think he had just over 40 goals. He's usually around that 60 mark. He looks like he's back in form. I did say on the previous podcast that he is playing on the PK this year. Do I think he's going to get some shorthanded goals? Absolutely. But you wonder how much of a long-term effect that's going to have on him and whether or not he's going to have the stamina to actually sustain this pace all year. JT, they played him over 25 minutes in the 3rd game of the season versus Chicago. I don't know why they'd be doing that. That doesn't make any sense. This game right now on the schedule, of course, you want to win them all. But does this game versus Chicago at home, the 3rd game of the season, really going to make or break you? And you're going to play him for 25 minutes? I don't know. If that's the type of stuff that's actually got Toronto in trouble, and that's why, again, they think they won their first playoff. They won their first playoff series since 2004 last year. Why the fact they're always cursed. They do stuff like that is pretty stupid. So hopefully Matthews can actually sustain this. But man, what a start for him.
Yeah. Anybody else, either individually for fantasy wise or teams that are kind of jumping out you in the first week of the season?
So the entire Calgary team from a fantasy perspective Man, if you go look at their statistics and actually look at the way they've been playing, they've had 6 to 7 starters, their first 2 lines. They've all been balanced. So basically, all of their guys have had somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 shots on goals through 3 games, but yet there's probably 7 or 8 of them within that range. So nobody, one player has actually lit it up. And really last year, man, in Calgary, they had a rough go of it. They just weren't that good. They had bad coaching last year. They get the coach out. They want to get Huberdeau a little bit more comfortable with this year. So I really like what's coming on with their 2 lines. Again, that balanced play. One surprise on their team is defenseman Noah Hannafin. Hannafin's actually getting some power play 2 time. He's on the top defensive pairing, but man, the guy's got 4 assists through 3 games. But even more important, he's got 6 shots on goal. This is a guy that scored 38 points last year. So look at your waiver wire, and those leagues where you have 10 teams, maybe 12 teams in your league, Hannafin may be out there. He may be out there. And if so, definitely get him. I know their schedule over the next 2 weeks is like your Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So they don't have any prime nights where you can actually play, feast off the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday games. But nevertheless, if Noah Hannafin's out there, go out there and get him.
Yeah. Anybody else jump to you? I mean, Leon Draisaitl, always looking at the high end guys from Edmonton. He's leading the league in scoring to start things off. 7 points, 4 goals, 3 assists. He has looked really solid. As Edmonton's going to put up points. Question is, can they stop anybody? And how's their goaltending going to hold up as the year moves on?
Yeah, goaltending has been shaky. Last night they finally got to Schneid. Edmonton did as a team, and ended up. I think they had a big win. I believe it was 6 or 7-1. And Draisaitl had a couple goals. This versus Nashville, and man, over the years they have just pummeled Nashville. When I say they, Draisaitl has. Excuse me. He's had 24, 25 goals in 24 games versus them. That's unheard of. This guy, I watch him. I've watched him very closely over the past several years in the league. He is the biggest sniper in the league, in my opinion. He sits on that right bumper and he actually just waits for the pass from either McDavid or someone else. And man, he's just got that stick that's cocked and loaded and ready to go. In my opinion, man, I mean, for one timers, he's got the quickest one time shot in the league. But man, he has been scorching hot. Edmonton also too has been a good target for betting so far, even though their team's only 1-2 and they had a rough start the first 2 games. I mean, the McDavid over 1.5. That's really been good so far. Draisaitl goal scoring has been really good. But man, if you're really looking for a bet to really pounce on right now Edmonton, you've seen this time and time again from them. They're like a shark that actually smells blood. So now they actually have 2 games where they get embarrassed by Vancouver. The first one was an absolute embarrassment. Then they come out and actually just bully Nashville. That's that shark with blood in the water right now. Now they've been embarrassed. They don't actually like that. Their power play is actually going to go. Their power play is going to actually start to get super red hot. Look at a guy like Evan Bouchard for a power play point. He is their young power play quarterback defenseman. And you don't really, again, want to have to get McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Get that 4th or 5th fiddle on that first power play. That actually gives you the best odds, and Evan Bouchard will give that to you.
Yeah. Well, any other teams jumping out at you? The start. I mean, I know we're only 4 games in for most teams, but hey, the defending champs, Vegas, baby, looking off to a good start. Already 4-0, and they have looked the part of a defending champion.
Yeah, they've looked the part of the defending champion, and Jack Eichel's picked up right where he left off. So Eichel really had his coming out party. When you say coming out party, like, man, for a guy with his pedigree, such a top, draftee, and actually all the promise. Eichel actually did not have his way in Buffalo, ends up getting traded. So now he's actually found a home in Vegas. He set the world on fire last year. Really good. They end up coming to have a cup. And honestly, to the first weekend, again, it's only 1 week of the season, but he looks exactly how he looked last year. Eichel's been awesome. But I tell you, as awesome as Eichel's actually been, let's talk about a little bit about his former team, Buffalo. They have not been good so far. So I've even seen some fantasy managers panic and actually start to want to offer some guys like Thompson and Tuck and Skinner in trades or whatnot. Fantasy managers out there, don't do that. don't be deceived. Here's the reason why. Thompson, he's scoreless through 3 games. Tuck, I believe he may have an assist. Skinner, not that much better at all. But don't be deceived because Thompson's got 12 shots on goal through 3 games. Skinner's got 8. They've been active. All right. So remember, patience. And you got to think as well, they faced the Rangers with Shesterkin, and they actually faced the Islanders with Sorokin. Those guys are world-class goalies. They're 2 of the 3 best goalies in the world right now. So don't if you got a lot of shares of Buffalo players and those top liners, don't get discouraged by those guys. Yeah, have they been really, really quiet? Yeah, have they actually been frustrating through the first week and a half here? Yeah, they have. But that's not going to last. Those guys are way too good.
Well, it's something we always talk about, especially with hockey. Teams get on runs and teams get in lulls. It just happens. You do not want to bail on guys too early, as I've seen it happen a million times where guys will drop guys, trade guys for, just bail on guys for cheap trades. And you're like, what are you doing? It's because the guy's down. You got to let a guy get through part of the season, let them do it, and let teams get on a roll. When you get those good teams like a Buffalo team with all the talent they have, you're going to get on those week or 2 runs, streaks where they're just piling on points and they look great. And you're going to have some tough runs. That's just hockey season. That's just the ups and downs of what come with it. And the biggest thing is to kind of feel those things out and feel when a guy's actually having a really bad year and where's the time to move on from a guy. And maybe, hey, he's just off to a slow start, or maybe he's in just a little bit of a slump. But that's the one thing you can't do with hockey. You can't. It's not like football. It's a long season. You can't be bailing on guys a couple weeks in. So definitely stay the course, especially after week 1. Don't be getting crazy and making a lot of moves a week into the season. But keep your eye open if you've got other managers who are definitely, they're those types of guys. They just don't like to wait around. They get anxious, and guys don't get off to a good start. They like to move players. Hey, don't be afraid to make trades early on.
Yeah, such a great point. There's 82 games. This season goes on in a regular season for most fantasy formats for 19 to 20 weeks. I mean, in football, you only play you play Thursdays, you play Sunday, Monday, but your games are on Sunday, so you have all week to sit there and actually think about it and stew over a bad performance. And with here, they may end up having 2 bad games on a Monday, Wednesday, but then they come back on a Thursday night and they actually tear it up, and it's all about matchups as well. So you definitely got to be patient. I would say you guys, fantasy managers, drafted these guys in a certain round for a reason, especially those guys in the first 10, 11 rounds on the top half of your draft. Don't give up on those guys yet. Don't even give up on those guys in the first 3 weeks, barring injury. You really want to actually just give them time to get settled in. And we talk about injuries, and we'll get into that here in a bit with JT. We'll mention a couple of injuries, but man, injuries will change everything, and for the better or for worse. And so be patient. I know the situation in Buffalo is pretty frustrating. And do they actually look good in the games? No, not really. But you got to remember as well, they got a rookie goaltender in Devin Levi. They have actually another young goaltender in UPL as well. The goaltending is actually young. Overall, they're still a young team. I would say that if you want to look at Buffalo, you're going to want to equate them, since I'm a Chicago fan, you want to equate them to maybe this year could be their year to be the 2015 Cubs, where, okay, you have some big free agent signings. You actually have a young core. You got some top end talent there. It's your time to actually come out, and you could just sneak up on everybody and then screw around and actually win 45 to 50 games and get into the playoffs and make a decent run. But they're probably still a year away from being top caliber, and people got to understand that, especially with their goaltending. So, patience right now. Patience. You got to have it.
Yeah, Buffalo, their team is going to be in the mix. I mean, Florida is a team we like a lot that we think has a chance to be really good this year. They're both sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic with 2 points a week into the season. So that's going to change. That isn't going to stay that way all year. So you got to just have a little patience there on them. Any other players, any other teams kind of jump on you? A team that we talked about, me and you personally, in the offseason, I just liked a lot was Jack Hughes and the New Jersey Devils. I just thought this team had a chance to be really good. I've loved what I've seen out of Hughes so far. What do you think about what the Devils have brought so far?
Oh, they're awesome. They got about 2 or 3 players that are just absolutely tearing it up right now. I'll start with Jack Hughes. Hughes He, in my opinion, has reached stardom. He's there. This is, I believe, this is year 3. Yeah, I think year 3. I think he was was it 2020 draft? I believe he was a top pick. I'd have to go back and look, but nevertheless, I believe this is year 3. He's there. He's there. Here's your 100-point player a year. You pencil it in. There's no doubt about it. Man, have we actually been just nailing the shot prop with him right now in bets? The over 3.5. Man, he is peppering the goal right now. So if you got Jack Hughes on your fantasy roster, good for you. If you end up looking for some bets to actually play, you can probably get Jack Hughes over 3.5 on most platforms. He's probably about a -160. So look actually to go ahead and parlay him with actually another guy, maybe over 2.5 or 3.5 at the same -150 or 160. And you can end up getting that for maybe a +150, 175, somewhere around there. But I tell you, I talked about New Jersey in our first couple of podcasts, JT, and Jesper Bratt was the guy I really was targeting in a lot of drafts. And I got out of my 4 leagues I'm in, I got him in 2. And right now, he looks super comfortable. We talk about guys being comfortable. He has 3 goals and 2 assists in 3 games, 5 points in 3 games, top line, top power play, a steal in drafts. This guy was actually probably going in 10-team leagues. You're probably looking at maybe 70th, 80th overall, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit sooner. But what I love about this, and I'm going to tell fantasy managers as well, if you are new to fantasy and you're actually looking at like, hey, who should I be looking at who's doing well? How do I know if a player is doing well or not? Just outside of points. Points are fine. Points are actually great. That's the whole idea of this fantasy game we actually play. Look at time on ice. They have to be on the ice in order to score. All right. So what I love about Brad, he's averaging nearly 20 minutes of time on ice so far. He's never done that before in his career. So it'll be interesting to see come game 50, 60, 70, what he's actually looking like if he can actually maintain somewhere in the neighborhood of a low 19, right? Maybe a 19, 15 average throughout the season. But he's never played minutes like that before. But man, he is ready to come out. I would think that it would not shock me at all if this guy is actually knocking on the door 40 goals this year. Love New Jersey. Man, they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I was going to say Hughes was the #1 overall pick in 2019. So this is his 4th year technically going in. And then, like you said, shot props. We've been all over him, shot props. He has been 4-6-6 in their first 3 games. So he's hit over that 3.5 every game. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists. He's already put up 16 shots this year. So he's a guy, he is off to just a great start. He's one of those guys we've been peppering him, Dylan Larkin, Draisaitl, McDavid, shots on goal. Those guys have been, guys we've been hammering on some of our toast takes parlays of the day. But I've loved what I've seen on him so far. And like you said, I just feels like this New Jersey team has it together. It feels like they play well together. Dougie Hamilton's look good.
Yeah.
They just, this is a team, they haven't even got Meyer going yet. Once he starts going, they're going to be even better. So I'm going to keep an eye on them and see if I can possibly trade for or acquire some Devils players throughout the year if I can.
Yeah, let's talk about Meyer real quick. Man, okay, rough start. Fantasy managers, remember, it's been 1 week. All right, 1 week, but
New
it hasn't been
team,
bad. Yeah, it's been bad. Yeah, and he had a little bit of time last year because he was trading the second half of the season to kind of get acclimated. But man, through 3 games, just 4 shots. That to me is concerning because this is a guy that shoots a ton. He is a guy that's going to get 275 shots on goal a season. To have only 4 shots through 3 games. But what's more concerning is he took a bad penalty in the previous game, and they benched him for the 3rd period in the 3rd game of the season. He had over 11 minutes on time on ice. So far, he's actually just averaging just over 15 minutes. For a guy of his pedigree, that's not good. But I actually did to see today on X through looking at New Jersey's a beat writer for New Jersey that he is actually being brought up to the first line. So he's gonna have a chance to play with Jack Hughes. So again, if you want to buy low right now, Sell off somebody on your team and try to get some fantasy managers to bite right now on a guy that may be overperforming and go out and actually get a guy like Timo Meyer. That's the play right now. If you want to do that and actually try to win a trade this early in the season and try to fleece somebody, then offer somebody that is actually shooting over 25 to 30% and has actually never done it before. And on a situation where they may not be on the right team that traditionally historically actually does it from year to year, and go out there and actually offer this guy up maybe something a little bit more and actually get a guy like Timo Meyer, who actually had a dreadful first week of the season. That's the play.
Let's talk about a guy that me and you we had some discussion about before the season, Alex Ovechkin. We said this team is probably going to be a bad Capitals team. We expect him to take a lot of shots this year, try to go for that scoring record. He's off to a slow start. 4 shots in the opener, but he went 0 shots against Calgary, which I don't even remember the last time I saw him get 0 shots in a game. 0 shots against Calgary, and currently tonight against Ottawa, another 0 shot attempts. Really surprised by this, as I thought he would be out there just peppering the goal with shots. Obviously, like I said, don't want to overreact first week of the season. But are you a little surprised about kind of the slow start for him?
I'm surprised. 2 things. That one, yesterday, like you said, he did not have a shot on goal. But not only did he have a shot on goal, he didn't have a shot attempt, and he was not injured, and ice time was there. Today, I'm thinking Ovechkin's going to come back and he's actually going to do something here. No shots on goal through 2 periods. You tell me the last time Ovechkin's actually went 5 periods straight without a shot on goal. I can't remember that. So, and then if you look at the way Washington played Calgary at home yesterday, they won the game, which is crazy. They won 3-2 in overtime. They got destroyed in that game. The entire game, they got outplayed. They gave up over 40 shots. They only had maybe 15 or 16 shots themselves, somewhere around there. I'm just estimating numbers here. This Washington team may be bad enough where my actually play for him, the plus 2,500 for him, the Rocket Richard trophy for most goals scored, shots on goal over 350 shots on goal. Tell you what, I may end up just estimating that because they look bad. They look really, really bad right now. So if I'm at Washington, if I'm an owner of Ovechkin, if I'm in a bangers league, don't panic because he gets so many hits. He actually blocks the puck. He will end up getting quite a few goals this year. But if I'm in a non-bangers league, just from what I've seen from them and how disjointed they are as a team, I'm pretty concerned. And usually don't throw the white flag here in all these concerns first week in the season. But man, they are dreadful right now. They're absolutely dreadful. So more to come on that. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting to see their schedule coming up. And if Ovechkin just starts to shoot the puck, that's all he needs to do. Start to shoot, do what he normally does, get 4 or 5 shots on goal a night, the goals will come. And he's going to hit. He's going to get you those peripherals. So I'm concerned a little bit. That's I'm shocked. I was telling my brother last night by text. I said, "Hey, we end up losing a parlay bet, and we end up putting a 4-leg parlay. 3 of them actually went, but Ovechkin was actually the other leg. We needed 3.5 shots on goal, and I'm like, well, that may be the easy part for Ovechkin to go ahead and do that. No, he didn't. He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. He was invisible the entire game, as was the entire Washington team. And even though somehow they backed away into a win, yeah, I would maybe steer clear of the Ovechkin shots on goal prop until you kind of see him get on that little streak and maybe have 2 games straight, then hammer it, then go.
A team that I've been really impressed with the start, and they just look like they're going to put up points this year, is Ottawa. The Senators lost 3-5 in the opener to Carolina, came back with a 5-2 win over Philly, then a 5-2 win over Tampa. They're up 6-1. Tonight, if this team puts up 5+ goals every night, I mean, they are going to be tough. Ton of good offensive talent on that team. I want as many Senators players as I can right now.
Yeah, they're so young. So you got Stutzle and Brady Tkachuk. They basically run that team. All right. So they are the young players. They're fairly young. I would say they're 21, 22 years old. They're not old at all. But then you got And also you have Josh Norris, who just came back from injury. Tonight, first game of the season, 2 goals right off the bat. I didn't check and see what he's done in the third period. Drake Batherson, another young guy who's actually had a very good start to the season. But what I love about Ottawa is, man, they also have that veteran presence. You get a guy like Tarasenko that plays on the third line, comes in on the second power play, and Claude Giroux as well. They got great balance. They got great balance of actually young talent who's their best players, and then veterans who've actually done it before. It reminds me, and again, just as a Hawks fan, it reminds me of Taves and Kane in their second to third season, but yet they still had Patrick Sharp, they had Marian Hossa. You know what I mean? That good balance of young studs who are your best players, who are your stars, but then surrounded by them with good proven talent. And you know what? With Korpisalo and Anton Forsberg, they've got good goaltending so far. I love Ottawa because I have the most shares of Brady Tkachuk, and I bet them all the time with the shots on goal. Hammer the over 3.5 right now. Don't care. It's a minus 165, 170. Makes no difference. If you just want to put it up straight up, put a ton on it right now. Man, he is on a tear right now. Love this team. Love it a lot.
Any other teams that jump out at you? I know you just talked about Brady Tkachuk on the shots on goal. That's something we've been all over his shots, been loving it. We've been right there on so many. We've hit a couple, just barely missed the, like you said, the Ovechkin missed shots got us. Larkin has been all over the shots on goal so far for us. He's been really nice as far as a player we've been able to jump on. Anybody else as far as like bets wise, things like that, you kind of the next week or so as we're putting together some picks and some parlays that you're kind of keeping your eye out for?
Yeah, I'd say right to hot hands right now, because whether it be DraftKings give you somebody over 2.5 shots on goal, they're only gonna put it this way. DraftKings is and other platforms. If somebody's over 2.5 shots on goal to start a season for shot props, they're not going to change their shot props this early in the season unless you're Connor Bedard, because Bedard, they did it. He lasted a whopping 2 games with over 2.5 shots on goal. Then they took him to 3.5 immediately, and I told everybody that's the last time you'll ever see that again. He'll never be at 2.5 shots ever. He'll always be at 3.5. And they didn't even change the odds. It stayed at minus 160. It was minus 2.5. It was 160, and minus 3.5. They stayed at 160. But I would say ride the hot hands right now. If you are a beginner better and you're just looking to say, you know what, I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do, don't get too cute with it. Go on NHL.com or actually go on Yahoo, wherever it may be, and look who's actually put up the most shots on goal. And then look and see which line they actually play on in these teams and see, okay, they play with great line mates as well. And maybe even look at the teams they played and say, okay, are they getting a lot of these shots on goal based on, historically good defensive teams like the Islanders, like the Rangers, for example, as well. And if they're doing it, then ride that hot hand, because especially, they're going to keep it up then. But JT, I know we're getting probably close on time. One guy I actually want to talk about here real quick, concerning wise, Alexis Lafreniere, I'm pretty concerned with the Rangers. I thought this year being his year 3, he was the number 1 draft pick in the 2020 entry draft. When he came out, he was kind of a can't miss. He's averaging under 15 minutes of time on ice so far. He's got 1 point through 3 games, which isn't bad, whatever, but only 4 shots on goal. He's actually on power play 2. He's playing on line 2, but he's actually not getting the deployment he actually needs. He's playing with Philip Cheadle on line 2, the center. That tells you all you need to know right there. Capo Caco is actually getting the preference on line 1, and he's not even on power play 2. Lafreniere is not. So I know you and I actually went out and traded for Lafreniere, thinking, you know what, if New York wants to try to salvage their back-to-back high draft picks, with Caco being the number 2 pick overall in the 2019 draft, and Lafreniere actually being the number 1 pick in the 2020 draft, and neither one of them really panned out. They've actually got new coaching to come in and turn that around. And so far, I know it's only 3 games into the season, but given his deployment, given his time on ice, the new coaching staff may not actually be in love with him either. So I'd actually be pretty concerned with that Alexis Lafreniere as well. So
Yeah, and be interested to see how long the Rangers kind of give that. I mean, he's still a really young player, but if you have a coaching staff that just has lost all confidence in him, do they look for suitors? Do they look for somebody and say, hey, do we see if we can move this guy and get, maybe you can find a team that thinks that they can salvage him as opposed to you wait too long and he kind of loses some of that shine. So that's something you never know with some of these. And whenever you get new staffs in, either coaching staffs or GMs, sometimes players just don't work into their system and what they want to do. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on him and see if that's a guy that eventually, if he doesn't pick it up, do the Rangers think about maybe moving on from him?
Yeah, he just signed a bridge deal. So this tells you all you need to know. You've seen all these big deals coming out right now with players that are, quite frankly, high draft picks, high pedigree, unproven in the league, and they're signing 8-year deals worth like $7 million a season, so they can lock them up on the quote unquote cheap before the salary cap goes way up here in the next 2 to 3 years. So guys are getting huge contracts. He didn't. He ended up getting a 2-year deal worth $2.3 million AAV, somewhere around there anyway. And that tells you all you need to know right there. The fact that everybody else is getting theirs, he's getting nothing. And with being a number 1 draft pick in the 2020 entry draft, he hasn't panned out. And real quick, JT, key injuries. Matt Boldy's week to week and in Minnesota. Marcus Johansson's out there. He's actually going to move up to line 2 and power play 1 in Boldy's absences. I would not go out there and give up anyone off your roster to reach for Marcus Johansson, of all people. But if you got room on your roster based on the fact that, let's say you have Boldy especially, and you can put him on IR, Johansson may end up being a guy you end up streaming for 2 weeks. Hockey's, they always say week to week, or month to month. That ends up being day to day and week to week, right? I mean, it always ends up being sooner than they end up saying. So, but Marcus Johansson's a guy you may end up looking out on. But man, this has been a lot of fun first week of the season. And people that actually follow our podcast and actually listen to Toast Takes and JT Around the Ice here on the Stew with JT Brew, I encourage you guys to get on social media, get on X, follow the Stew with JT Brew there, JT Orange, at Toast Clark. We'll do Toast Takes for bets. We actually recommend every single day for the most part right now. And so far, I will say that parlays have actually been our biggest enemy. So we're probably shooting 8 out of 10.
We do love the parlay. We've hit a ridiculously number of the hits. We just haven't cashed a lot because of the parlay, because of a lot of the 4 or 6 leg parlays. But like I always tell people, I'm a huge parlay guy, but always break those things down. If we give you a 4 or 6 pick parlay, break those down to your favorite 2. Take the 2 legs you like the most, break it in 2s, break it into 3 sets of 2s. You can always do that. No big deal. Feel free to reach out to us. Hit us up on X. Again, like Toast said, at JT Orange is me, at Toast Clark for him. If you got bets you're looking at each day, or you see us post a play of the day, a parlay, and you say, hey, what are your 2 favorite? We'll respond to you. So just hit us up and let us know. If you got questions, or if you got something you like and you want to run it by us, man, by all means, we love to hear info from other people. So if you got something you love, hit it up and let us know. I think that's going to do it for us, Toast. Great first week of the season. Pumped for things moving forward. Make sure you check us out every Wednesday night. We go on between 8 and 9 o'clock Central Time, typically on Wednesday nights here on the Stew with JT Brew. For Toast Clark, I'm JT. Thanks for joining us here on the Stew. We'll check you next time.
You up on trades and why you move? You ain't designed to lose. Find you jumping over seemingly nothing, racking up points makes the game a little more fun to watch.